be sweet to me, baby. What's up, everybody? Jason, Joe, and Krams are here, coming at you with another record review. Today we are talking about the new Japanese breakfast album, Jubilee. Michelle Zauner, fresh off of her #2 on the New York Times bestseller book, Crying in H Mart, which came out about a month ago. Now we got another album, her third full length. So yeah, what do you guys think of this one?
Do you guys have an H Mart?
When I lived in Philly, but I don't think there's one here. But she's from Philly, so obviously Philly has one.
So that's the album review. Yeah, I haven't been to H Mart. We'll see you next time here. I thought this record was really good. I got it at 4 stars. Yeah, I think the best thing about this are the lyrics. She has really amazing lyrics where she's like operating in like an alternative universe. It's really bizarre, or like science fiction or something. They're like these really down to not earth kind of tales, but at the same time you get something like Be Sweet might be my favorite song of the year, or at least right now. It is pure just like pop genius. The melody is so hook driven and delicious, and it's got like the perfect. We just reviewed Wolf Alice, where we were talking about how we enjoyed them not wanting to be retro. There's some tracks on here that are like pure retro. Be Sweet is awesome. Feels like you're on a first date in the food court at a mall in 1985. It's great. But yeah, back to the lyrics. Songs like Savage Good Boy, really kind of fun, funny, cute, clever. Like, I want to be a man. I want to be a savage good boy. In Hell is really interesting because, she attacks, it's properly named Jubilee because there's so much jubilation about really dark things that you have to deal with and a lot of grief and stuff. In Hell being about like the countdown to losing a loved one on a deathbed in a hospital, and just really kind of casually going through the motions. Like, it starts off like, yep, this happened exactly when I thought it would. And it's just, but what a really cool approach. Posing for Cars, a great way to close it. I'm not as crazy about it as I was the first time I listened to it, but still a really quality 4 stars. I think she does the upbeat stuff really well and the somber stuff really well. The somber, it's not too somber, but the quieter, slower stuff really lets the storytelling come out a little more than kind of her fun, upbeat stuff. So it's got a really nice blend to it all the way through, track 1 through 10. Really good ride all the way through. But yeah, I very much enjoyed it. The standouts, however, which I think Joe will probably elaborate more on, I wouldn't say the album goes off a cliff, but I think the best songs are towards the front of it.
You're correct in your assumption that I like the first two tracks by far the most. They're definitely my style. Paprika's bouncy, it's more upbeat, lovely pop. She sings it really well. Be Sweet's great. It's awesome bass, like thumping, like super 80s. Like, obviously that, I just talked about how I didn't want retro, but that's a really good retro kind of throwback 80s. Very danceable. And then it kind of loses me a little bit because they're really, after that, it really goes down like lo-fi, shoegazy, lo-fi indie pop for pretty much the rest of the whole album. And I think I needed like another shot or two, like those really sweet poppy songs, because it kind of sets up the album like it's going to be like this upbeat, like pop album, some 80s stuff in there. And then it just kind of goes the opposite way. And it's good. I think she has a good voice, very dreamy. And I think the songwriting's good. Like you said, the lyrics are very good, but I'm still searching for that, like that hook that she promised on Paprika and Be Sweet never comes back. And so it's not quite in my wheelhouse. Clearly, it's not, it's more suited to you and Jason. I'll admit that. I can admit that. But I still like it. I think I had it 3.5 stars. I think I got it like right at the lowest 4-star because it is good and I like her. But I was left wanting more. I still want more Paprika. Little more Paprika, a little less Sit and Savage Good Boy, probably.
I really, really like this record. I think the songwriting is really good. My first listen, I basically just took in the overall kind of sound and feel. And I thought the melodies were really strong and I liked the production a lot. But then I listened to it again and I did a really like close listen and read along with the lyrics. And I think the lyric writing is so good. She is kind of billing it as like her happy record because her first two are supposedly like her dealing with all this like grief and trauma. And this is supposed to be like her, release of all of that. But the lyrics are still pretty, aching and wanting. It's all about like wanting love, I feel like. But it's great. I love all the horns and the strings. They all sound really good. There's cool synths that run throughout, not just on the obvious 80s tracks. I really, really like this record. I am very tempted to go 5 stars. I'm like right on the cusp of 5 stars. I'm going to stay at 4.5 for now, but by the end of the year, it could easily be a 5-star record for me.
Yeah, it could grow up to 4.5 for me too. I have only listened to it twice, but like Jason was saying, it's the lyrics are the star of the show. So the more you can pay attention to that or read along, the better. So maybe a couple more listens, it can get higher. I also agree with Joe at the same time. Like I said, my favorite stuff is towards the beginning. I don't dislike the last, part of it. But it's also really necessary for it to go that route because the lyrics and the content of the lyrics just get heavier and heavier and a little bit more in despair and a little darker, even though the sound isn't always matching that, which is kind of the brilliance of the contrast. So, by the time after listening to like Savage Good Boy and In Hell and Posing in Bondage, going back to something like Be Sweet just wouldn't make sense for like the progression of the emotional kind of ride you're on for this album. So it's a bit of a struggle for me because I do want some more of the Be Sweet, but I also appreciate sort of the artistry that went in with the later half of the record. So I see both your points, but
I buy that, but I also don't know why you would start out like that with the two like peppiest, poppiest songs and then completely like pull the rug on that. Like I don't understand where. Maybe I have to do a closer reading of the lyrics to kind of understand her thought process and, like 180ing it from something like Be Sweet, where it's, like you said, it sounds like a mall kind of romance. Maybe that was the catalyst for heartbreak or whatever. And I guess I didn't know she was a #2 New York Times bestseller. So now I kind of want to go back and read the lyrics like Jason did, and maybe that'll kind of up it for me. But musically, it's good. It's the 4 stars. So maybe if the lyrics are as good as Jason claims, perhaps this is definitely one where it's on my radar for the rest of the year as far as like could be a year-end top 10, top 5. Looking forward to exploring this one a little bit more since she is such a good writer. And if you can get, New York Times best-selling author, maybe I'll listen to I'll read your lyrics too.
I think you pretty much nailed it in there. Like the beginning is that sweet kind of pop because it takes you through the ride of like what it is to, want and fall in love, like Jason said, longing for love. So it's really innocent at first, it's really pretty, it's really happy, and then it just kind of falls off a cliff because, not everything is a Hollywood romance, doesn't turn out the way you want. But the whole point of the album is she's going to put on this brave face for the whole thing. So even though the content gets darker and darker, and she's still kind of putting a joyous spin on some of this stuff. But I'd also be happy if she just released 5 separate singles that were like Paprika and Be Sweet. That would be
cool. She can obviously do any of these styles very well: lo-fi, shoegaze, dance pop, regular pop. So I think she has I never. I didn't get into her earlier albums. I have heard both, and they didn't really do it for me. I don't know. Maybe she's just improving.
I can see that the front half of the record does have the more obvious hooks and like the more immediate songs, but I don't think the songs on the back half are of a lesser quality. I just think they're like a different type of song. I still think they're really good and really well produced. So
I know they're I agree. They are well produced, just not my style of songs.
All right, everybody. Well, let us know what you think of this record. If you've heard it, do you love it? Are you lukewarm on it? Let us know. Be sure to hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already subscribed. Hit the bell for notifications. Check the description for links to all of our social media, and we will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.